What is occupational science? The most basic of its definition for occupational science is the systematic study of occupation and the human as an occupational being. It can be thought of as a study of everyday living and the activities that bring meaning to people's lives. It draws on a range of other fields, including geography, sociology, psychology, biosciences, education, and the arts, all to improve people's lives. A lot of sciences like biology study other life forms, but occupational science studies humans. Of course, it is not the only science that studies humans. Many others, such as anthropology and psychology, do as well. However, as a science, occupational science fills a lot of gaps that other sciences don't examine. Therefore, occupational science is also interdisciplinary. For example, occupational science could have societal and cultural benefits than just being limited to occupational therapy and health. So why occupational science when there's already occupational therapy? In an article published in the AOTA, it mentions that many people may cringe at the word occupation and many promises to describe what occupational therapists do. Some even believe that occupational therapy would be better off if the word occupation was completely erased. So, is the birth of occupational science adding to this occupational nightmare? However, the original vision of occupational science was to provide a scientific base of support for the field of occupational therapy through research. Occupational therapy has been around for over 100 years, and its historical roots are grounded in understanding what occupation is and what it means. But occupational therapy drifted away from its roots and historical literature. For example, some earlier programs did not even mention the term occupation, but instead used terms such as task or activity. In the 70s and 80s, occupational therapy was going through an intellectual crisis, and there was no consensus about what the particular foundational science was supposed to be. In other words, there was no conceptual framework to operate from for occupational therapy at the time. Without a foundational science, occupational therapy could not elevate the effectiveness of occupational therapy interventions. In its beginning, occupational science players included a community of scholars, clinicians, students, and researchers, some from even other disciplines such as anthropology. Occupational science provides a way of thinking that enables an understanding of occupation, the occupational nature of humans, the relationship between occupation, health, and well-being, and the influences that shape occupation. By acknowledging the value of occupational science to occupational therapy and supporting its development internationally, there may be important implications for occupational therapy education and practice as theory and evidence is further generated by occupational science. So essentially, a new science was started in the 1990s. That's kind of cool. It's worth noting that occupational therapy should be thought of as an evolving discipline that is always growing around the world with advances such as in technology, so not only in the US, but also as an international science. So, what degree can you get in occupational science? Students can receive a minor in occupational science all the way through to a clinical doctorate and PhD in occupational science. Research in occupational science has contributed to additional understanding of neuroscience and use of a virtual assistive technology to stroke recovery, to repetitive strain injuries from repetitive work activities, to social injustice and the homeless population. One practical application of studying occupational science is the potential to develop and generate evidence for occupational therapy interventions. While occupational science is drawn from other disciplines, its ongoing research will have the potential to provide contributions back to society and other sciences as well. This can be very beneficial as traditional occupational therapy interventions primarily focus on the individual, but research through occupational science can expand this to the broader populations, groups, and society. In summary, one way to think of occupational science is that it contributes to occupational therapy by 1. Developing knowledge and understanding of human occupation, 2. Providing a theoretical framework for occupational therapy practice and research, and 3. Helping occupational therapists to understand clients' experiences, perspectives, and contexts. Occupational science provides a way of thinking that enables an understanding of occupation, the occupational nature of humans, the relationship between occupation, health, and well-being, and the influences that shape occupation. By acknowledging the value of occupational science to occupational therapy and supporting its development internationally, there will be important implications for occupational therapy education and practice as theory and evidence is further generated by occupational science. Key benefits of occupational science in the profession of occupational therapy include 1. Fulfilling the demand for doctoral level faculty, 2. Generating scientific research, and 3. Justification for practice. Occupational science is to occupational therapy what anatomy and physiology are to medicine.